Hallo und herzlich willkommen im Podcast von Trending Topics. Bis vor kurzem hat man eigentlich über Magic gesprochen, wenn es um AI-Coding-Startups aus Österreich geht. Aber jetzt hat Mimo, ein Wiener Startup mit ursprünglich einer Coding-Lern-App, einen Überraschungsangriff gestartet, denn das Team hat Instance gelauncht, also ein Tool, mit dem man mit wenigen Wort-Prompts Webseiten oder simple Apps erstellen lassen kann. Cursor, Devon oder Lovable lassen natürlich schön grüßen. Wie Instance funktioniert, mit wem es am Markt konkurriert und wie es generell um den Trend Vibe-Coding steht, das diskutieren heute im Podcast passenderweise unsere beiden AI-Hosts Algo und Ritma. Bühne frei.
Welcome to this deep dive. We're looking at something brand new today in the world of AI code generation. And I think this one's particularly interesting for those of you who, think and work maybe primarily in German. We've got some info on Instance, which is a fresh AI coder from a Vienna-based startup, Mimo.
That's right. Yeah, Mimo. You might actually know them from their Coding-Lern-App. It's quite popular, quite effective. But now, they're jumping into a much, much tougher arena, I'd say, directly generating code with AI.
Exactly. So our mission here really is to figure out what Instance actually is, how it works, what's under the hood, and maybe what kind of impact it could have, and why its arrival is, pretty noteworthy in this super fast-moving world of software development, especially maybe for our German-speaking listeners keen on seeing some European innovation here.
Definitely. Okay, so let's maybe start with this whole concept, this area of asking AI to write code using, just plain language. It's really picking up steam. You might have heard the term vibe coding. Andreas Karpathy has talked about it.
Oh, yeah.
It basically means giving instructions, like in natural language, to these AI models, and they, spit out code. It just feels like a more intuitive way to get software ideas going.
And it's not just theory, is it? I mean, the big players, OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, they're pouring serious money into this, making their AI models better and better at code.
Huge investments, absolutely.
But here's where it gets interesting. Alongside these giants, you've got this wave of startups popping up, each with their own angle on AI coding. You hear names like Magic.dev, Cursor, that's Anysphere, right?
Yep.
Windsurf, Poolside, Devon, everyone talking about Devon from Cognition, even Lovable out of Sweden. It's crowded.
It really is. And smack bang into this busy scene comes Mimo. And like you said, crucially for many listeners, they're based in Vienna, Austria. They've already got this solid reputation with their learning app, which suggests, they understand how people approach code. And now they're trying to channel that understanding in a pretty new way.
And this new tool, Instance.
Yeah.
It's currently free to try. That seems like a big deal.
Yeah, it lowers the barrier significantly. They're calling it a radically simpler and faster way to turn ideas into working applications, games, and websites.
That's a bold claim.
Yeah.
Radically simpler.
Right.
What makes it simple in practice?
Well, from what we understand, the core principle is very direct. You just describe what you want to build in plain English. Like you could say, I need a basic app to track the movies I've watched, or maybe generate a simple website for my side business, like a bakery.
Yeah.
Instance is designed to take that and, translate it into actual code.
Wow. The source we looked at even had this example, creating a simple chat UI for a news app. And it only took 3 prompts, like 3 sentences.
Exactly. That gives you a real sense of the speed they're aiming for. Get something visual, something functional, fast.
And the code it generates.
Yeah.
It's not a black box, right? You can download it.
That's key. You get prototype code, React, TypeScript, Tailwind, CSS. We'll get to that, and you can use that as your foundation. Build on it, tweak it. It's really geared towards that rapid prototyping phase, getting a skeleton up super quick.
That ability to just visualize an idea almost instantly, that could change how people approach starting projects.
Totally. It kind of democratizes that very early stage, doesn't it? Even if you're not a hardcore coder, you can start exploring ideas.
Okay, but free often comes with strings attached. Let's talk about the business model here.
Yeah.
There must be limits on the free version.
Oh, absolutely. The main one is the number of prompts or requests you can make each month. Use it a lot, and you'll hit that ceiling. Then you'd need to look at their paid plans.
Right. What do those look like?
They start around, I think, 20 euros a month. That gets you 100 requests. And it scales up. You can go up to about 200 euros a month for 1,000 requests.
And there's another difference, too, isn't there, about how many projects you can have?
Yeah, the free tier limits you to just 3 projects at the same time, whereas the paid plans let you have up to 50 active projects.
Okay, but here's a really important point, a current limitation people need to be aware of. You mentioned getting the code, but the paid versions apparently let you publish directly. But there's a catch with data.
Yes, exactly. While paid users can publish websites and apps directly from Instance, which is cool, database support is currently listed as beta.
Beta, meaning not quite ready for prime time.
Pretty much. Mimo themselves say they're working hard on a reliable, stable, secure way to handle user data storage.
So what does that mean practically for someone listening? If I build a web app with Instance today?
It means if that app needs to, say, store user logins or save user-generated content, anything that needs a database in a live environment, you'd currently have to sort out that back-end complexity and the hosting for it yourself using more traditional methods.
Right. So Instance is brilliant for the front end, the user interface, the basic logic, super fast prototyping. But persistent data storage for real users, that still needs extra work outside of Instance for now.
Precisely. It gets you started incredibly quickly, but that data piece is the next hurdle they're working on.
Okay, so that makes sense. What about the tech it does generate? You mentioned React.
Yeah, currently it supports React, TypeScript, and Tailwind CSS, which are, very common, very popular choices for modern web development. It's a solid stack.
But they haven't said which AI models are actually doing the code generation. Like, is it GPT-4 or Claude or something else?
Nope. They're keeping that under wraps for now. We don't know the specific large language model or models powering it.
Interesting. Especially given how competitive this space is. You've got these huge, well-funded companies we mentioned earlier.
Deep pockets, yeah.
Which kind of makes you wonder, how did Mimo, this relatively smaller Austrian company, pull this off? Launch Instance, seemingly without massive headline-grabbing funding rounds specifically for this AI coder project.
That is a really good question. It points to maybe very efficient engineering, or perhaps cleverly using existing open source models. Or maybe they have some unique tech sauce they haven't revealed yet. Either way, launching this into that field is, well, it's impressive.
Let's swing back to vibe coding for a second. Karpathy's idea from early 2025. He talked about this flow, right? Using AI without needing to know every single line of code it spits out. Just seeing things, saying things, executing things.
Yeah, and Matthias Grabner from grabner.tech echoes that. He basically defines vibe coding as using natural language to tell LLMs or these AI agent systems what code to write. What do you see as the biggest upside of that approach?
For me, it's got to be that rapid prototyping. Getting mockups, simple tools, personalized productivity helpers built super fast. But as Grabner also notes, it's not, magic.
Right.
For anything serious, anything production ready, you still need that trial and error, the debugging.
Yeah.
You need actual coding knowledge to refine it.
So it lowers the barrier to start, but doesn't eliminate the need for expertise to finish and maintain.
Exactly. It seems more like augmentation than replacement, at least for now.
Which ties into what Inbal Shani, the CPO at Twilio, has been saying. Her view is that AI is going to be more of an assistant for developers, a powerful one, but an assistant nonetheless.
Not a replacement. Why does she argue that?
Well, her point is that AI is great at automating processes, boosting efficiency, handling maybe the more repetitive coding tasks. But the core stuff, like designing the overall system, the architecture, the really creative problem solving, that's still fundamentally human.
That makes sense. And there was that stat, wasn't there, about how little time developers actually spend coding?
Yeah, it's surprisingly low for many, maybe only about 2 hours a day actually writing lines of code. The rest of their time often goes into design meetings, architectural planning, coordinating with teams, debugging, all that higher level stuff.
So AI could free them up to do more of that strategic work, potentially.
That's the idea. Shani's argument is that you're still a developer if you have those core skills. System design, optimization, innovation. She draws a parallel to how programming languages evolved. When we got higher level languages, it didn't mean fewer programmers.
Yeah, it meant they could build much more complex systems, right?
Exactly. The focus shifted upwards towards tackling bigger challenges. AI could be a similar shift.
Okay, but this inevitably leads to the big question. Jobs. If vibe coding becomes widespread, what happens to software developer employment?
Yeah, that's the elephant in the room, isn't it? There's definitely concern, especially maybe for junior developers or those doing more routine tasks.
Could those roles be automated away or significantly changed by these AI tools?
It's a real possibility. Gary Tan from Y Combinator even speculated that, a small team of really skilled vibe coders, maybe 10 people, could potentially do the work of a much larger traditional team, say 50 or even 100.
Wow, 10 doing the work of 100. That's a huge potential disruption.
It is. It suggests we might see a sort of polarization in the job market. high demand maybe for developers who are really adept at using and guiding these AI tools, the AI whisperers for code.
But perhaps fewer roles for those doing the more basic implementation.
That's one potential outcome, but there's another side too. Could it also empower smaller teams, even individuals?
Yeah.
Well, if you can build and iterate much faster, maybe it opens up opportunities for young engineers to start their own companies, serve niche markets that weren't viable before because the development cost was too high.
So new opportunities alongside the potential disruption. But the key skill becomes knowing how to effectively use the AI.
I think so. Learning how to guide these tools, how to prompt them effectively, how to integrate what they produce, that seems like it's going to be critical.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive then, instance from Mimo in Austria. It's definitely an interesting new development. Its Austrian roots make it notable for our German-speaking audience, and its free peer makes it easy to check out.
Right, and it really shows that smaller companies can still jump into this AI coding game, even with giants around.
Which leaves us with the big questions, really. How will Instance stack up against the competition long term?
And what's the bigger picture? What impact will tools like this have on how software gets built, especially maybe for developers and entrepreneurs in, say, Germany, Austria, Switzerland?
Yeah, lots to watch. We'll definitely keep an eye on these developments. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
And maybe a final thought for you listening. How could this ability to quickly spin up prototypes with a tool like Instance, how might that change your own approach? Whether it's for a side project, solving a problem at work, or just exploring an idea, even if you don't consider yourself a coder today, something to think about.